Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. Today I'm making my favorite type of jam, which is strawberry jam. But I'm going to do it old school. I'm actually going to seal it up with paraffin wax. Paraffin wax is how the old timers would seal jams and jelly instead of hot water bathing it. Now hot water bathing it is the kind of the recommended way now, but sealing your jams and jellies with paraffin wax is still a viable option. And it's also sort of a renewable option. The old timers would always save the paraffin wax and they would reuse that from year to year as they needed it. Making the jam is pretty straightforward. I'm using Sure-Jell. It's a pretty basic recipe for making jam. The big thing when you're making jam with Sure-Jell is you have to be really cautious with measuring your ingredients. And I'm actually going to put this crushed strawberries into the pot right here. I actually crushed the strawberries in the pot so I didn't have to go ahead and make a another dish dirty while I'm doing this. So I'm using exactly 5 cups of crushed fruit. And crush this up really good with a potato masher. Now remember, if you're using store-bought strawberries like I am today, make sure you really wash them good because they put a lot of junk on store-bought strawberries. And you want to get all that off. So I wash these really good. I got a deal on the strawberries, that's why I'm making them. And then the next thing that you put in is you put in the actual packet of Sure-Jell. I got this already opened up. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to stir this in. And then we're going to heat this up. And when this gets to a rolling boil where it doesn't stop boiling when you stir it, then we're going to add our 7 cups of sugar in. I got the 7 cups of sugar right here. And then we're going to ladle it into our clean jars that are sterilized. Now, as far as the wax is, the paraffin wax, I'm actually doing a double boiling, do it in a double boiler, but I don't want I guess the problem of cleaning the wax out of my utensil. So I actually use an oven bag as part of the double boiler. As this melts then and the jam is into the jars, I'm going to take this melted wax and I'm going to seal the tops and put the lid on. But anyway, I'm going to get this going here and I'm going to get my paraffin melted and we're going to put this together and then I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to show you how to put that paraffin into the jars to seal them up. Alright guys, you can see here my strawberries are cooking. Got to wait till this comes up to a rolling boil while I'm stirring it, and then I add the sugar in. You can see the paraffin over here. The paraffin is melted now, and I'm just going to use this to seal up the jars. Typically when you add the paraffin in, you're going to add a little bit at first and let that kind of set, and then you're going to put a second layer on top of it, and that's what I plan on doing here today for you guys. I remember back when I was a kid, my parents and grandparents, when they cooked jam, they always sealed it with paraffin wax until I was probably about 12, 13 years old. Then I remember them switching over to hot water bathing it. But all the old timers when I was growing up, didn't matter what kind of jam it was, they would use the paraffin sealing method because the jam got used within a year or so. And one other thing that I want to mention, this is beet sugar here. There was some controversy once when I went on a group, like a jam and jelly group, about using beet sugar for jams and jellies, that their jams and jellies wouldn't set. But that's not been my experience at all. I've made every kind of jam or jelly known to mankind, at least every kind that you can make here in Michigan with stuff you can get. I've made strawberry cherry, I've made blueberry, I've made grape, I've made wild grape, I've made apricot, I've made marmalades, and I've never ever once not had my jam set with using beet sugar, because beet sugar is what we produce locally, so that's what I make. So this is starting to heat up here. I'm going to get a little more heat on it. You can see it's starting to boil. And when I'm stirring it, see if I can catch this for you guys here. See how I'm still stirring it? And it's still trying to boil. When that boils, and I'm still stirring it, that's when it's time to add the sugar in. That's the one trick with making jam. It's all timing and measuring your ingredients. All right, it is still boiling while I'm stirring, so this is good. We're going to add our sugar in now. Get this fully incorporated, and when this comes back up to a boil, we are going to boil this for exactly 1 minute, and then we're going to take this off and we're going to fill this into the jars. All right, I got the 1 jar full. I took a metal spoon and I skimmed a little bit of the foam off the top. You can still see a little bit of the foam on there. The foam really doesn't bother me, and I'm not trying to get a prize at the local county fair for my cannon, so that little bit of foam doesn't really bother me. You can see there in that first jar, I left it a little bit more headspace than I would normally do if I'm canning, and that's specifically for room for the paraffin that we're going to add in here in a little bit. So I am going to continue to fill these jars up, and when they're all filled and they sit about 5 minutes, then we're going to add our paraffin onto this. Alright guys, I got my jars filled up here. It actually made about 4 3/4 pints. The 3/4 pint, that'll just go in the refrigerator, and we will use that for fresh. But anyway, you can see here sort of the head space that I got on these, and now we're going to take our paraffin in our oven bag here that I had in the double boiler. You can see it's all liquefied. Make sure I don't burn my hands. And we are going to just gently pour a little bit of it on the jar, just like so. We're going to do this in each one. And if there's any on the inside of the rim, you can just wipe that off after it sets up a little bit. Alright, we got between 1/8 and 1/4 inch of paraffin on all of those jars. We're going to set our this back in here to stay liquid for us, and we're going to let that set up. And when this is set up and it starts to cool and get opaque, then we're going to put another small amount on top of it to finish the seal. Alright guys, you can see here the paraffin is starting to set up. I'm going to add the second layer of paraffin on here. One thing I forgot to add is if there would happen to be a little bit of jam or something that you got on these rims on the top here, whatever, you'd want to wipe that off with a wet piece of paper towel before you would go ahead and start putting the paraffin on. I'm going to get ever so gently. So we got a solid, I'd say 1/4 to 1/2 inch of paraffin on here, up into the neck of the jar. Alright, we're going to let this set up now, and then we're going to put our regular rims and lids on. Alright guys, we are sealing up these jars now because the paraffin is starting to set up the way I like. You can see there it's almost completely white, which means it's firming up good and we can put our lids on. One thing about using the oven bag, this little bit of paraffin that's left in here, I can actually take this bag, let it dry out, wrap it up, and then I can use it again the next time I want to melt paraffin for something, so it's sort of reusable. And you do the same thing if you're doing, if you're waxing cheese. You can use those bags, those oven bags for that as well. But all I do is take a damp paper towel just like this to make sure that there is nothing on the inside, no paraffin, no nothing that can be hinder the seal. And all I'm going to do is take a couple preheated rims and lids, or excuse me, preheated lid, and then we're just going to set that on top. Just tighten these down. And the wax makes the seal. And as long as you use these within a few months, they'll be good to go. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys got a little information, a little entertainment out of this video here. Just another way to put your food up with the golf wax. This is the only thing I ever seen this done with was jams and jellies. So kind of bringing back this old school technique to you guys. You guys take care.